All right, hey everyone, welcome to another video. A popular topic I've realized is ALMA, Headway, these startup companies that make it easy for therapists to be credentialed. Now, people are usually asking me questions about what it's like to sign up with one of those companies. Are they actually helpful? Is it worthwhile? And one of the major questions people ask in regards to that is, what are the pros and cons of paneling with insurance providers on your own versus paneling through one of those companies. And those companies, that's like their main draw, is that they make it really easy to be paneled with an insurance provider, and they offer billing tools and all that kind of thing. So I have made videos about the ALMA, Headway, those kind of companies in the past, but today the video, as you can see here on the screen, there it is just going to be dedicated to talking about the pros and cons of paneling with one of those companies versus paneling independently. I have the list right here, and we're just going to walk through it one by one, and I'll share my thoughts with you as we go through it. All right, so we're going to start with the companies like Headway and ALMA, and if you don't know, you're not familiar with those companies, they're basically startup companies that work with therapists. Therapists are their primary target audience, and they do a couple of things. One, they make it super easy to be paneled with insurance providers. And in addition to that, they usually offer billing tools. They make it really easy to submit claims. Some of them, like ALMA, also offer a membership community where you can converse with other therapists. Most of them also offer a directory listing. So ALMA, Headway, they do that. And then they're always rolling out different features. So I know they're building out EHRs and things like that. But for now, for this video, we're just going to talk about the credentialing part. But that's those companies, all right? So let's talk about the pros first. So the first pro is that when you're paneled with a company like Headway and ALMA, the reimbursement rates are going to be higher. Most of the time, this is true, I would say, and of course, I don't have exact data on this, but generally speaking, the reimbursement rates are higher and oftentimes by a significant margin. Now, this is going to vary by state and location, but it's safe to say that reimbursement rates are going to be higher. Now, this is going to be a big draw for most people. All right, so that's one pro. It's pretty obvious. Don't need to talk much about it. Built-in billing tools. So when you're paneled with a company like Headway and ALMA, they're going to make it really easy to submit claims. So you're going to see the client. You're going to go onto their own, like a Headway portal, the ALMA portal, and it's like a couple of clicks and the claim gets submitted. You're not messing around with the CMS 1500 form. There's no real learning curve. You don't have to learn how to do billing on your own. And so the billing tools are really easy to use and claim submission is absolutely seamless. Now, if that's all you've ever known, you don't know that to submit claims in simple practice, there's a learning curve, there's issues that can go on, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But they make it really easy to submit claims. All right, that's another major pro. I added here built-in support. Now, this isn't really advertised like this, but if there's an issue with claims or there's an issue with a claim coming back, ultimately you will be responsible for it, but you have a whole team at ALMA and Headway. Although I've heard their responsiveness has been slowing down, you still have a team that's at least able to help answer questions, help you figure out what's going on. So in that way, there is kind of a built-in support. And to me, that's a pretty big benefit to know that you at least have a company that can answer some of your questions for you. Right. Or if, I don't know, let's say a client is having trouble with a copayment and their credit card's not going through, they can help. ALMA, Headway, they can help. So built-in support, really, really great. Insurance verification. So both these platforms and I think other ones as well that are similar, you're going to be able to verify a client's insurance. Now, I know people get upset because the verification isn't always perfect. This is the case no matter what, whether you're verifying it on your own, through the different portals that the insurers provide. Insurance verification is always a bit tricky. You never know 100% until you submit a claim and get it back. That's when you get the cold hard data, if you will. Nonetheless, though, Headway and ALMA give you a pretty accurate ability to verify a client's insurance. And again, if that's all you've known, then you don't realize that when you're credentialed independently, you as the provider or a support person that you hire has to verify the client's insurance, or you tell the client that is their responsibility. So to have any insurance verification that's fairly accurate is really helpful. And the readout for ALMA and Headway is becoming really quick. I know in Headway, it's like instant. You submit the insurance information and the client gets a readout right away. Not to mention the client actually can add their own insurance information, which makes it easier for you. That segues into the next pro, which is it's easy to use for the client. So most of the times in my experience, the platforms like Headway and ALMA are really seamless for the clients. I don't get many clients asking for help using the platform. In fact, maybe only a few times over the last couple of years that I've been with those companies. So it's a platform that's quite easy for them to use, and that's really helpful because they've got to put in their insurance information, pay co-pays, that kind of thing. So that's a big plus. And then I added quick paneling. So when you sign up with ALMA Headway, typically they can get you paneled with most insurers in like 30 days. And then some of the other ones, I know Aetna usually takes longer. It might be 60 to 90. But if you're paneling on your own, it can be much longer. So paneling with them is much quicker. Not to mention they're kind of doing all the heavy lifting for you. So you usually fill out the application for ALMA and Headway, and then they'll kind of facilitate the rest and get you onboarded with all these insurance companies. And again, if this is all you've known is Headway and ALMA, then you don't realize that these are actually benefits. If you do it on your own, these things become much harder. And we'll talk more about that in just a second. So what are the cons then? Those all sound pretty good, right? So then what are the cons of paneling with a company like ALMA and Headway? There still are a few, all right? So number one is if you decide to not work with ALMA or Headway and you decide to kind of go out on your own, you will not remain credentialed. So you are only credentialed for as long as you remain with Headway or ALMA. All right. The moment you decide to go out on your own, that's gone. So you can't take it with you. All right. Number two, you can't negotiate. So you don't get to negotiate rates for yourself. ALMA and Headway are doing that for you. Now, this is kind of a weird con. It's because ALMA and Headway are already negotiating rates much higher than you could probably get on your own. It's not really a con, but some people do like the ability to negotiate. So you're not able to do that when you're signed up with these platforms. There's potential longevity issues. Both ALMA and Headway have been around a decent amount of time, but they still are startups. They are funded by venture capitalists and other sources. So there's no guarantee that they're going to be around forever, right? So that's another issue for some people. But yeah, we don't know. That's fairly uncertain. And then this is probably the major con. If you're looking to start a group practice and you're looking to do supervisory or incident to billing, if you're not sure what that is and you want to start a group practice, I will leave a link down below to a video where I talk about it. But just to put it really simply, if you're hiring provisionally licensed therapists, LMSWs, MHCLPs, people that require supervision, there's a way for them to, they're not technically taking insurance, but there's a way for you to have clients use their insurance while also seeing one of those provisionally licensed therapists, and that's through supervisory incident to billing. If you're with ALMA or Headway, they do not allow for this. So you are not able to do incident to supervisory billing with these platforms, which limits your ability to start a group practice while also using Headway and ALMA. All right. And we'll talk about that more in a minute, but this is a major con. All right. So those are pretty much the pros and cons of ALMA Headway insurance billing. Now, being paneled, okay? Let's now talk about being paneled independently. And just to give you a bit of background, being paneled independently means that you yourself and or your group practice, you create the contract between the insurance provider and you. There's no middleman, there's no ALMA, there's no Headway. You're just independently credentialed on your own, all right? You execute a contract between yourself and the insurance company. But that out of the way, what are some of the pros? So the major pro, and this is where most people decide they want to credential independently, is that you can do incident to and supervisory billing. And I just talked about that. But if you want to start a group practice, you want to hire provisionally licensed therapists, and you want to take insurance to grow your practice, you're definitely going to want to be doing incident to supervisory billing. And you can only do this if you are paneled independently. And you can only do it with some insurer. So not every insurer even allows it. I do know for sure that Aetna and Cigna currently allow it, and I'm not sure if others do as well, at least not right now. But that's a major pro. That is the reason why I paneled independently, was because of this. So major pro, okay? The other thing is the contract that you execute between the insurance provider and yourself, it remains active until you decide to terminate it, right? So again, with ALMA Headway, you leave them, you're no longer taking insurance. If you're paneled independently, you're insured as long as you want to be, as long as, until you terminate that contract. You do have the possibility of negotiating rates. For some people, this is a major pro. Now, a lot of people write off that the negotiation part, but you actually can negotiate. Now, it's not always that effective, right? We don't have as much negotiating power, perhaps, as ALMA or Headway, but you still are able to do it. And you will read and hear about success stories where people negotiate rates that are fair and that are helpful for them. You don't even get to negotiate with ALMA Headway. Independently, you can at least give it a shot. I've successfully negotiated some rates, so it does work. And to have the ability is a pro. And then stability. So again, when you're independently credentialed, you're not relying on startup companies. So again, it's more stable. You're probably going to remain insured as long as the insurance companies stay around or until you terminate the contract. And obviously, we know the insurance companies have been around a while. They're not as unstable as startup companies. So there's the stability there. All right. What are the cons of credentialing independently? Typically, you have a lower reimbursement rate. This is just the way it is. That's a major con for obvious reasons. Okay. There's a pretty steep learning curve when it comes to billing. So if you're doing your own insurance billing, you're credentialed on your own, you have to do your own billing or you have to hire someone. All right. If you're doing your own billing, which I'm doing, you have to learn. It's a steep curve. It's not difficult, but there's a lot to know, a lot to learn, a lot of nuanced stuff. And so it takes a lot of time or you're going to hire someone. Although you're acquiring another skill, it's hard. It takes time. So this is going to be a con for most people. Now you're also going to have to resolve any issues that happen on your own. A claim gets submitted and rejected. You've got to figure out why. You've got to fix that. It's going to take time. Claims are coming back wrong. You've got to fix it. So any issue that happens with the billing, and they do happen. The last couple of videos, I talked about all these issues that happen. You are responsible for fixing it, and or the person you've hired. Either way, this is most likely going to fall under the category of con for people. And this is kind of repetitive. I guess I just doubled down on this, but no support. So if something's going wrong or whatever, not only do you have to fix it, but it's on you basically, right? So you don't really have anyone you can bounce that off of. And then another thing that's important to know, it takes either a lot more time, a lot more energy, or sometimes a cost to be credentialed independently. So if you decide to do independent credentialing, you can hire a company to do it for you. It is going to cost you, and it makes the process easy, but it costs money, right? When you sign up with ALMA and Headway, they usually credential you for free. If you decide to credential independently, like really independent and do it on your own, it's just going to cost you a lot of time. For some insurers, it's not that hard, but some energy. You have to figure it out, fill out the applications, do all that. You can do it, but it's usually under the category of a con for most people. So then you might be asking yourself, there's a lot of cons for being independently credentialed. Why even do it? And there are so many positives for Headway, ALMA, and those platforms. And I will be honest, one of the major reasons when people are coming to me and they're asking about independent credentialing, it is typically because they want to do incident to supervisory billing. They're interested in starting a group practice with provisionally licensed folks. This is most cases. If you're looking to do that, it's going to be helpful to be paneled independently. However, though, you can see that these companies like ALMA and Headway do make it easy. There's a lot of pros. I'm not here to share with you what to do, but I at least wanted to lay out all the facts for you, lay this out for you, and I hope you found this helpful. If you have more questions about this, I realize questions are always popping up about these kinds of things. I'd be more than happy to make another video. If you haven't already, there's more videos about ALMA, Headway, and those companies. Check those out down below and on the channel. But anyway, in addition to this being helpful, at the very least, I hope encourages you to really thrive in your private practice and you feel more motivated now than you did before logging in. Anyway, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.